Hi, I'm Melissa Cobb. Come fly with AOPA. This week, testing 100 octane unleaded fuel in a twin, keeping military aviation history alive, and fighting $3,000 special event landing fees.
AOPA keeps flying safe, accessible, and fun by protecting your freedom to fly. We are the most trusted one-stop resource for all things related to general aviation. Become an AOPA pilot today.
AOPA is performing real-world tests on unleaded fuels. We're checking to see how those fuels stack up against avgas, and we're doing it in a Beechcraft Baron. Now, the first fuel up for demonstration is the G100UL. That's General Aviation Modification Incorporated's 100 octane unleaded fuel. Now, that fuel had received FAA fleet-wide supplemental type certificate approval back in September of last year. AOPA President Mark Baker recently took the Baron up for a flight. He had G100UL going into one engine and avgas going into the other. Let's check in and see how it went.
Engines are smooth, fuel pressures are good. Well, good, temperature's good, cylinder temperatures are all good. Everything is as smooth as can be. I like it.
Look, tell me a little bit about the GAMI fuel that we're testing today, Mark. I know there are other fuels on the horizon as well, but we're in Ada, Oklahoma. So give me a quick rundown.
So a year ago, September, a GAMI team got the STC approval from the FAA to say their fuel is approved for every spark plug ignition fixed wing aircraft. I think they're working on the helicopter approvals as we speak. And, you know, it's been a long haul, and there's been lots of attempts to get an approved fuel one way or the other, either through the PAPI process or STC process. We've got a lot of work to do. But it is really nice to see this fuel burning, being demonstrated, not tested, because they've already been tested by the FAA. And the point is that this fuel is running in this airplane. And I'm anxious to try and get more demonstrations of this fuel, build people's confidence, to find an alternative to a low-lead fuel. And this is exciting stuff. Really is exciting.
You got a big smile on your face here. That might be a Baron smile, though. I'm not sure.
No, it's a completion of you know, we started talking about this project a year ago, right after the STC was approved. We've got 2 donors lined up to support the idea that we go start telling our members about this fuel and our satisfaction. Whatever we learn, we're going to share. But it appears, you know, it's a great start.
And we have multiple folks that are behind this operation and behind a different kind of a fuel. They are listed on the engine cowling here. About how many folks are on the coalition, imagine?
It's a couple hundred that are part of the coalition that says, hey, we got to figure a way to avoid this issue that we all want to avoid, which is the low lead, and be good citizens and move forward, but with a safe fuel that we have built confidence in over time.
So now, I know you have a message to other folks in aviation, sort of a challenge, if you will. You want them to learn a little bit more about different fuels. Do you want them to come out here to Ada and maybe take a spin in the Baron?
We'll be putting together a calendar to have our qualified Baron pilots out here. And invite members of Congress, members from the FAA, other members of the industry, come out here and see this actually burn, watch it go into the tank, to try and demonstrate we got to move forward. We got something. We got one that's approved by the FAA in an STC format, and you know, as others may get approved from a STC or PAPI, we'll use this airplane down the road when we get other approved fuels as well.
Okay.
But I think to get more experience on this fuel is something we all owe it to our constituents, the market, and frankly, the community, just to try and start moving forward.
Yeah.
Get some experience in the airplane. Yeah, but we wanted to demonstrate not on a brand new airplane, an airplane that our members own. This is a 1966 airplane.
That makes sense.
And there's a lot of these, you know, airplanes from the 50s and 60s and 70s that are perfectly good airplanes. And we want to have dozens more years of service life on these things.
And what's our deadline for everyone to move away from leaded aviation fuel, which is already low lead? We do have a deadline now.
Yeah, we said and committed to the industry, to the communities at large, no later than the end of 2030, we expect to be away from the low lead fuel. And I think that, you know, this demonstration today is another positive step toward that. You know, this is a big darn deal.
that is a really big step forward in the hunt for a replacement of avgas. Well, you can learn more about the Baron, about that flight that Mark did, as well as what AOPA is doing to help the industry transition to an unleaded fuel. We'll drop links to all that information on our website down in the description below. Well, special event landing fees in the Las Vegas area are hitting astronomical highs. I mean, we're talking $3,000 or more for these special event landing fees. And this is happening right in advance of the Formula One Heineken Silver Las Vegas Grand Prix that's coming up on November 18th. Now, AOPA President Mark Baker and our advocacy team are looking into this disturbing trend, and they're working to keep it from spreading to special events across the country.
These fees, the question is absolutely appropriate. You know, on a public airport that's been paid for by the taxpayers for years and years and years, and to create this access to these communities is really something that AOPA has believed in, has been pursuing for a long time, for this transparency and reasonable and fair fees for access to general aviation airports. This is wrong, and something that we're going to continue to fight, continue to prove the facts that these airports do not have the ability to discharge whatever rates they want in these times of high traffic areas. Now, having a reservation system, it probably makes sense to make sure we have a safe handling of all these aircraft, making sure that they know that there's going to be space available when they get there. But it doesn't cost $3,000 to make that arrangement for a piston airplane. This is wrong. We're going to have to fight it. First off, we're informing the FAA and the DOT and basically Congress to say, can you believe this? There's nobody that regulates this. In other words, these people can go charge whatever they want, call a special event anything that they want, and then impose these fees, in the middle of the night to aviators without really our knowledge and our acceptance of that. So we have to first create the information to the people that can regulate and help, communicate that this is wrong. And then hold the feet to the fire of these airports that are taking it on their own to charge whatever they feel like. So we've got to make sure we have fair and reasonable as part of their vernacular for what should go on at an airport.
Las Vegas is going to be hosting the 2024 Super Bowl coming up in February, and at least as of right now, it seems like that $3,000 special event landing fee is going to be imposed. But you can learn more about this issue and what AOPA is doing to fight it. We'll drop a link to that article in the description below. On November 2nd, Volocopter launched a flight test program at Tampa International Airport in Florida. This marks the first time that an electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft has performed test flights at such a large operational airport in the United States. Now, the crewed Volocopter 2X assessed its downwash and outwash during the test flight, as well as conducted performance testing. Volocopter is a company that's working to build air taxis, cargo drones, and larger passenger eVTOLs to try to bring advanced air mobility to cities across the world. The AOPA Air Safety Institute has released a new version of its online flight instructor refresher course. Now, this new course is fully responsive, so you can take it on whatever device you want. It also includes new scenarios, new videos, and images, and it also has better progress tracking. We'll drop a link to the online flight refresher course in the description below. Angel Flight West has celebrated a major milestone, 40 years and 100,000 missions, and actor Ed Norton was on hand to help celebrate this 100,000th mission.
Today is a huge day for Angel Flight. We are flying our 100,000th mission right here in and out of Santa Monica Airport. We are super excited. We've got a longtime volunteer pilot, Rob Ross, flying them in this morning. And then new volunteer pilots, Michael Langston, Edward Norton, flying them home to San Diego, where Luis and his mother Marie live. We've been flying Luis dozens of times over the last 7 years. He's a cancer survivor, liver transplant recipient, and still goes for follow-up care for both his transplant and his cancer treatment. So we're really excited that he's part of that journey and that he's our 100,000th flight.
We're the latest of many flights that Angel Flight West has contributed to this family, and it was really cool to see the emotion, the relationships that they've built with the organization and how much it's meant to them. I think listening to the story of what Angel Flight West has done for him and his family over these many years, with dozens of flights up to treatment center here in UCLA, it was really moving. I mean, you could really see the emotion in his mom and in him, and the appreciation for the relationships they've built with the pilots, and take something that for a lot of us is a hobby and just kind of a privilege, and convert it into something that's got real purpose and is really giving other people something that they desperately need, you know, access to great medical care. That is just a wonderful idea and a wonderful mission, and I wish I'd been doing it for longer, honestly. I mean, it's kind of, I like getting to amplify what a great thing this org's doing by flying this milestone flight.
Tell me about the flight. How was the flight?
It was good. I can't believe I was a 100,000 flight.
What would it be like if you didn't have Angel Flight? Would you be able to do the things you're doing for Luis?
I don't know. Maybe my son. No life. 100,000. Woo!
I love flying the planes. I love looking at the view. It's all about experience that has been so good every single year. Thank you.
Thank you to all the Angel Flight West volunteers who have helped over the last 4 decades. It is such a worthy cause. Well, in honor of Veterans Day, we want to share with you a video about the Commemorative Air Force and what they're doing to preserve military aviation history and keep so many historic aircraft flying, aircraft like the popular North American P-51 Mustang.
Hi, I'm Stan Music. We're about 40 miles south of Atlanta, and this is the home of Air Base Georgia, which is part of the Commemorative Air Force. The Commemorative Air Force is an organization that was formed in 1957 to preserve the military history of aviation in World War II and those era of airplanes. In fact, this aircraft was the very first one the Commemorative Air Force ever owned. Our idea is to preserve in flying condition as many of the aircraft from World War II that we can. A lot of what we do is rides as well as air shows and other events, and that brings the aircraft out, and our goal is to get it in front of people so that they can realize what it was, how the U.S. came about with the air power of World War II, and to let people see the progression. We've said sometimes the difference between looking at a stuffed bird and watching a real bird in flight is the difference between seeing a Mustang or a Corsair or a similar aircraft in a museum versus listening to it, seeing it, and feeling it in flight. That for us is the difference. It's a debate that people get into. You know, should you fly these old airplanes? Most of us that fly them do it because we love them, because we love the history. It's easy to show where newer airplanes are far superior for combat, for fun, for other things, but you cannot beat the history. You cannot beat the incredible progress that was made in a short amount of time with these aircraft. This occurred probably 15, 18 years ago. We had been either going to or coming from an air show, and at the time I lived in Mississippi. I had the Mustang parked out front of the hangar doing the things we do to get ready. The car stops, backs up, pulls in. This elderly gentleman in a bathrobe and pajamas gets out, and he comes up and he starts talking to me, and he said, "I used to fly those." And he was a World War II veteran that had flown Mustangs. And he got up on the airplane, and we put him in the airplane, and you could watch the years melt away. Closed the canopy, and he sat there, and we just all kind of backed off and watched him for a few minutes, and it was magical. And then I became friends with him, and I took him for a ride in the Mustang several different times, and he ended up passing away, as many of the elderly folks do, but it was just such an experience to see how he transformed when he got back in there. And that's one of the things we see a lot. People get in the airplane, they flew when they were young, and then they become young again even though they're old. That's one of the things I was very lucky with. I got to spend time around World War II veterans, gentlemen that flew the airplane in combat in World War II. The cool thing now is we get to introduce the airplane to young people now who may or may not even know what it is. And then we talk with them about the history, the difference it made, the engineering, the incredible technological advances that were made during World War II, leading up to and during World War II. And it's fascinating to take these airplanes and show them to younger people and expose them. I take people flying all the time who have a variety of backgrounds. A lot of military test pilots, a lot of guys. I have people who've flown the best that the Air Force has to offer. And they get out from the Mustang and they look at me and they say, that's the highlight of my existence. That's the best day of my life. As people say, you got to have a reason to get out of bed in the morning. And the CAF has become that for me. It has become a huge portion of my life.
We at AOPA want to thank all of the veterans who have served our country and protected our freedoms. Thank you so much for your service. I hope that you've enjoyed this week's episode. Be sure to like and subscribe to stay up to date on all our latest videos. And this week we leave you with some beautiful flying footage from Jorgen Nies, and it's of him flying his Piper Pacer from Virginia to the backcountry out west. He makes this trip annually and he just did it in September. He's sent footage in to us before, so thank you again for sharing your flight with us. Well, be sure to send in your favorite flying videos. You just might see them on an upcoming show. And as always, if you're not already an AOPA pilot, we'd love for you to join us. Just click the link at the end of this video to learn more. We'll see you next week.